This is the ultimate battle between the mutant at his peak and the survivor at his end. Prime Wolverine represents the unstoppable force of nature from Earth 616, while Old Man Logan is a broken warrior, dying from his own skeleton. In a standard fight, the outcome is obvious because youth and power defeat age and decay. Changing the single most important variable in their bodies creates a different result. If Old Man Logan possessed a skeleton made of Wakandan Vibranium instead of poisonous Adamantium, the entire fight shifts in a direction nobody expects. We are breaking down exactly how this switch alters history. Understanding why this change matters requires looking at what makes Prime Wolverine so dangerous. This version of Logan acts as the perfect killing machine. His healing factor is so fast that he can regenerate from a single drop of blood in minutes. He possesses limitless stamina, peak human strength, and reflexes that rival Spider-Man. His greatest asset is the adamantium bonded to his bones. This metal is virtually indestructible and allows him to tank hits from the Hulk while cutting through almost any substance in the Marvel Universe. Logan fights with zero fear in this state because he knows he can survive anything. He operates as a berserker, trading damage for damage, and relies on his skeleton to stay in one piece while he tears enemies apart. Old Man Logan presents a completely different challenge. By the time he appears in the Wastelands, or the 2017 film, he is a shadow of his former self. His healing factor has slowed to a crawl. Wounds that used to close in seconds now take days or weeks to heal. His claws do not pop cleanly anymore, and instead grind painfully against arthritic knuckles. He is tired, slower, and constantly in pain. This version of Logan relies on experience and brutality rather than infinite stamina. He cannot afford to take the hits that his younger self ignored. Every fight brings him closer to death. He fights strictly because he has no other choice. The reason for Old Man Logan's decline is not just age, but the metal itself. Adamantium is toxic. Logan's healing factor has spent decades constantly fighting off the heavy metal poisoning from his own skeleton. His cells could handle the load in his prime. As he aged, the efficiency of his cellular regeneration dropped, and the poison began to win. The weapon that makes him invincible is also the cancer that slowly kills him. This toxicity is the primary reason Old Man Logan is weak. It suppresses his immune system and drains his energy, leaving him vulnerable in a way Prime Wolverine never has to worry about. Replacing the adamantium with vibranium introduces a major twist. This metal, from the Great Mound in Wakanda, functions completely differently. Adamantium focuses on rigidity and cutting power, whereas vibranium focuses on absorption. It stores and redirects kinetic energy. Captain America's shield proves that vibranium can take a hit from Thor's hammer and absorb the impact completely. The most important difference for Logan involves his biology rather than his durability. Unlike adamantium, vibranium is not toxic to the human body. We have seen it used in medical technology and bonded to living tissue without rejection. This single property changes the entire biological equation for Old Man Logan. This specific matchup came directly from a debate in our community, so thank you to everyone who joined that discussion. We build these scenarios based on popular requests. If you have another hypothetical battle in mind, mention it in the comments. The most interesting ideas often become our next analysis. If you are enjoying this breakdown, please subscribe to support the content. Returning to the battle, the differences become even clearer. If Old Man Logan had a vibranium skeleton, the metal poisoning vanishes instantly. Without the constant need to fight off toxicity, his healing factor would no longer be suppressed. It might not return to its absolute prime level due to his advanced age, but it would be much stronger than the failing versions seen in the comics and movies. He would stop merely surviving and start recovering. The arthritis, slow movement, and cloudy vision would likely clear up as his body focuses entirely on repairing biological aging rather than chemical poisoning. A vibranium-laced Old Man Logan is not a dying man, but a master martial artist with a functioning healing factor. Weight offers another physical advantage. Adamantium is extremely dense and heavy, adding over 100 pounds to Wolverine's frame. Logan has spent his entire life hauling this extra mass, which requires immense muscular effort. Vibranium is extremely lightweight and weighs almost 1/3 as much as steel. Swapping the metals makes Old Man Logan much faster and more agile than his younger self. He possesses muscles built to carry a heavy load, but now moves with far less resistance. This speed difference gives him a tactical edge that Prime Wolverine simply cannot match, while weighed down by his heavy skeleton. The fight gets complicated regarding durability. Vibranium is tough, but it is not as hard as adamantium. Adamantium serves as the primary metal for cutting in the Marvel Universe. If Prime Wolverine strikes Old Man Logan's vibranium claws, the adamantium will likely win that clash. Adamantium cuts through lesser metals easily, and while vibranium can withstand massive impact, it can be scratched or cut by adamantium if enough force is applied. Prime Wolverine's claws would act like a knife against a tough surface. Old Man Logan could not block indefinitely, because his claws might eventually chip or shear under the relentless assault of the harder metal. Physical statistics represent only half the battle. Old Man Logan possesses decades, or even centuries, of additional combat experience. He has fought every hero and villain, lived through the wasteland, and learned a patience that his younger self lacks. Prime Wolverine is often reckless and relies on his healing factor to fix his mistakes. Old Man Logan avoids errors because he previously could not afford them. Restored health from the vibranium, combined with his superior tactical mind, allows him to fight smarter. He would not try to outmuscle the younger Logan, but would outmaneuver him by using his lighter frame and superior technique to land critical hits on soft tissue. A specific scenario favors the vibranium skeleton. When Prime Wolverine gets hit by a Hulk or a Juggernaut, his adamantium skeleton remains intact, but his brain still rattles inside his skull. He can be knocked out by sufficient blunt force. Vibranium absorbs kinetic energy. If Old Man Logan takes a massive punch, his skeleton would dampen the impact to protect his internal organs and brain far better than adamantium does. This matters less in a claw fight, but if the battle turns into a brawl with throws and slams, Old Man Logan can shrug off impacts that would concuss his younger self. He acts as a shock absorber, while Prime Wolverine remains a rigid object. One specific variant of vibranium turns this fight from a contest into a clear victory. Antarctic vibranium, also known as anti-metal, functions differently than the Wakandan variety. It emits vibrations that destabilize molecular bonds in other metals. If Old Man Logan used claws made of this substance, the fight would end in seconds. The harder metal would liquefy the moment his claws touched Prime Wolverine's adamantium. Prime Wolverine would be left with a skeleton melting inside his body, which effectively neutralizes his greatest weapon. Standard vibranium puts up a good fight, but Antarctic vibranium serves as the hard counter to adamantium. The 2024 film Deadpool and Wolverine demonstrated how variants operate. That movie confirmed that different versions of Logan possess distinct physical capabilities based on their timeline and condition. The appearance of the Cavalrine and the Old Man Logan variant proved that the multiverse contains infinite configurations of this character. The film also reestablished that adamantium acts as a defining curse for the character, rather than just a metal. Showing a Wolverine who failed his world proved that mental fortitude often matters more than physical claws. A vibranium-laced Logan would likely have a different mental state, that is, less tortured by physical pain and more clear-headed in battle. The debate over metal superiority evolved with the events of 2025. Captain America: Brave New World officially introduced adamantium, harvested from the celestial Tiamut, into the MCU. This confirmed that adamantium is cosmic in origin within the cinematic universe and competes directly with vibranium for the title of strongest element. The film showcased that adamantium is the superior offensive material, even if Vibranium is more versatile. In a pure cutting contest, Prime Wolverine's adamantium claws still maintain the advantage. Old Man Logan with Vibranium would have to rely on speed and precision while avoiding a direct blade lock that could damage his softer weapons.
Old Man Logan wins this by refusing to block Prime's claws directly. He uses his lighter Vibranium skeleton to move faster than Prime expects. He utilizes the softer nature of his claws to absorb impacts rather than rigidly opposing them. His victory relies on the healing factor. Old Man can take serious damage and keep coming because Vibranium does not poison him, which is something his standard version cannot do. He would likely aim for soft tissue damage since he cannot cut Prime's bones. He would disable Prime by severing tendons and muscles, using his superior martial arts knowledge to dismantle the younger fighter piece by piece and bypass the skeleton entirely. Replacing Adamantium with Wakandan Vibranium turns Old Man Logan from a dying relic into a superior fighter. The removal of metal poisoning restores his health, and the lighter skeleton grants him speed he has not possessed in decades. Prime Wolverine still has the edge in raw durability and cutting power, but he is fighting a predictable brute force style against a master tactician who is suddenly pain-free. Vibranium Logan becomes a defensive powerhouse who can outlast his opponent, even if Prime Logan is an unstoppable force. It is a close fight, but the biological advantages of Vibranium give the veteran the stamina he needs to defeat his younger self. This single change demonstrates how much of Wolverine's struggle is internal. The adamantium defines him, but it also dooms him. Giving him Vibranium saves his life, but takes away his sharpest edge, forcing him to evolve from a weapon into a warrior. This trade-off completely rewrites his history. If you enjoyed this exploration of mutant biology and combat tactics, subscribe so you do not miss our next breakdown. Thanks for watching.